Right, so welcome everyone tonight. We're delighted to have an opportunity to learn from David and colleagues from Living Wholeness. HealthServe Australia is the host. We do this on a monthly basis. We call it our Health News session. Tonight, Mental Health in Asia, David Nichols from the Living Wholeness program. We're very honoured to have David and Susan with us.
Great. All right. Yeah, all right. Well, let's kick off then. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the sort of the macro need just initially, and to say that in Asia, there are roughly 2 billion people, and it's estimated about half of those, about 1 billion, actually live in poverty. Any country you want to name has massive mental health needs, Australia, America, Hong Kong, wherever, right? We all know that. But then I think it's worth just reflecting on the impact of poverty on mental health and the impact of trauma on mental health. And if you put those things together with kind of social change, this pace of social change that's happening in some countries in Asia, it actually really ramps up that whole area of mental need. And I've just been thinking a bit about, the way that poverty raises needs for mental health. Like there's obviously less access to care, to medication, to services. If there's the people who live in poverty tend to live in places where natural disasters affect them more easily, like a slum is often built in a floodplain or something like that. So people get knocked around more easily. There's more violence in these kind of groups usually. There's usually more domestic violence and sexual abuse of women, which is obviously traumatic to them. There's often cultural and ethnic violence. Minority groups often experience violence, like the Rohingya, for example, in Myanmar lately. And then there's also, this factor of, in a lot of countries in the poor areas, the kids go off to the city to find work. So it just leaves the very young and the very old in the countryside, and that there's less resilience there to deal with whatever the issues are that are facing them. And also often these kind of communities and people experience not just one trauma, but like a cascade of traumas, like so their father loses a job, the family has to go looking for other food, the kids are more vulnerable, maybe they get exploited, they get sent off into sex trafficking, or, just there's that domino sort of cascade effect that always seems to end up in this interlinked cycle of poverty and trauma, which causes mental health issues. I read that actually that apparently on average, people with a significant mental health issue have a 25% less lifespan. So the average age of someone with a major mental health issue is 25% less than normal. And also the stats apparently are that 75% of Asia has no access to any mental health, whatsoever, any mental health care and so forth. So obviously there's a massive need. We lived in China for about 14 years, and common treatment for a schizophrenic in the part of China that we lived in was to lock them in a bamboo cage for their life. And I would suspect that that's quite common. That kind of practice is quite common for mental illness in a large number of countries in Asia. So this is a long way from sort of, high-tech, atypical antipsychotics that we have easy access to here in Australia. Just some of the, I guess talking about this cascade effect, we have some of our team work in Nepal, and I know that in Nepal amongst the farmers, there was a grasshopper plague which ate all their food, and then there was a drought. So whatever was left was wrecked by the drought. And then there was a flood, and some of the villagers lost their lives in the flood, and there was a landslide in the area, and then COVID came along. So it's a pretty tough year, right? And you can imagine the amount of trauma that inflicts on a society or community. And actually the suicide, with all these lockdown things, the suicide rate in Nepal for quite a while was quite a lot, like a 10 to 20 fold higher than the COVID death rate, like just the impact on the mental health of the people was highly significant. So I guess that's kind of sort of on the standing back, looking at the bigger picture. I am fully aware that at least probably a third of our people here are living in India, Mongolia, Bangladesh, or working in Central Asia. And so you're acutely aware of these things, but just to put them on the table there for us to be aware of. Suzanne, I think you were going to talk about what we can do about this.
Yeah, so where do we fit into that? And just a little part of our story was in 2005, myself with a master's in counselling and David as a GP felt called to China. And early on in our time there, we were approached time and again to provide training and equipping for Christian counsellors, for pastoral counsellors who were seeking to be upskilled so that they could meet these needs that were walking in through the door. Because because someone becomes a Christian doesn't mean that all their needs disappear, of course. Actually, they start to face them. And Asia has some of the fastest growing churches in the world, with China and Nepal up there. And so there are many, many people walking through the doors of churches with broken marriages, broken families, suicidality, depression, and the trauma, response to trauma that David's been talking about. So in our little corner in Yunnan, we started developing and training this material in about 2007. And the needs and the requests kept growing. And so in the last 4 years, we've been invited to train in around 9 Asian countries. In the areas, we teach lay counselling. We also teach another level of counselling, but the demand for lay counselling is very large to mobilise and equip the churches to meet some of the needs within the community. So what do we teach? The material is based on a biblical understanding or anthropology of man, and it takes people on a journey towards personal wholeness, God-centered transformation, and healthy relationships. That's the base of where we go with the training. It's conveyed pictorially in a simple way through the Christian Wholeness framework, and 5 shapes and 5 steps conveys the messages of what we're teaching. So it seems, because of these 2 factors, that it's biblically based and also pictorial, it's a picture language, it seems that the material, as we've worked with it, has been able to cross language and culture barriers. I guess, which is not surprising if it is a biblical model, because God created man. But then our goal would be to train trainers so that they can teach it in a culturally appropriate way. What we originally offered as a 3-day training, in my naivety, has gradually grown. And at present, there's a 60-hour program that's being taught in a number of countries, including Mongolia, with another 60 hours as the second phase. And as I say, this has been trialled in about 6 different Asian countries. The training focuses as a foundation on the transformation of the helper, and the trainers are encouraged to be authentic and vulnerable. So what are the 5 main areas that we look at? First is personal growth. As I've just said, transformation of the one who helps is in line with both counselling training principles as well as the biblical injuncture to take the log out of your own eye so that you can help another. Personal growth groups are a popular part of the training. And if we have a chance, maybe Phyllis or Cha-Cha might want to share later about that. They've been in our training programs in that way. We also cover a basic understanding of mental health issues at a lay level. We give practical skills of relating and listening, and that's demonstrated, and then people go into skills groups to practice with each other. Then we give simple and effective response tools to a range of issues, and these are also demonstrated and practiced. From as simple as teaching structured problem solving, which can be enormously empowering when someone is overwhelmed, can't choose, doesn't know where to start. Just having that tool as a way to help the person walk in the door can be very valuable, as well as looking at sleep and then going deeper with mood issues and heart issues. We also have an emphasis on the importance of engaging help for yourself when you're helping another. So when you're out of your depth, to reach out for help and supervision, but also to build your own support network as you help another. We always say if you're in someone else's support system, you need one of your own. And then the concept of referral and accessing supervision is built into the program. So those are the sort of basics of what we cover in that first unit of 60 hours. Because of the emphasis on supervision and group work, the number of trainees is limited to the number that the supervisors and the trainers can both support in groups and give supervision to. And so there's a program in Thailand that is just finishing of a 60-hour program, and they're now looking at how they will structure the supervision groups to support these helpers as they go out into the community. As I've said, our goal is that local people such as Cha-Cha, Alvin, Phyllis, in different cultures are able to train this material in their own language and in their own culture, because they will know the best ways of how people present, what people respond to, what's the best way to have a helping conversation. Many of the participants want to go on and offer this type of training to others. And so they become part of our training community, which is now growing. And we have about 100 people part of that across China and Asia. We also really try to be intentional about being a community to each other, as we know that this ongoing system of relationship and support is not only biblical, but it's central to being able to be a healthy helper. Hello, Robert from Nepal. Welcome. Good to see you. So it seems like some of these elements are what is helping this material grow and gain support. So I'd just like to invite Cha-Cha. I think we'll take questions at the end, but please, if you're having questions, just write them down and we'll try to address them. So I'm just going to invite Cha-Cha to tell us who was part of our training program in China over 2 years, which was a delight, her and Iggy. And she is now training in a seminary in Mongolia, the lay counselling material, pastoral counselling. Can you tell us a bit about the needs in Mongolia and what some of your helpers are already doing and what they're getting out of the program? Thank you, Cha-Cha.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk about Mongolian conditions. So, of course, counseling and psychology is very new in Mongolia, as David mentioned before, same as other Asian countries. So, like Mongolian Christianity growth is stagnated last few years, really. Like I became a Christian 2005, so 16 years. The rate is still the remaining same, but the population is growing. So we see the main issues like church people people in the church have lots of wounds that couldn't deal with, and the pastors are not familiar with psychology and theology synchronization, and some even there are pastors, even they think psychology is some evil doings. So it's very new for us, and why we need to have this counseling in Mongolia is the suicide rate between 10 to 34 years old people. Highest rate is highest reason of death is suicide, like 37.4% average. So the generation issue who are the two generations who abandoned during the communism broke down time. So they grown ups now having lots of issue. Depression is the main problem. And alcoholism, like almost 70% of population, 70% of households, each family member, one member in the family is alcoholic. You know, it's very high. And also drug issues are coming from Russia and from, you know, the internet. And so many mental illness issues happening. And currently we have mental health center, medical center, based on very Russian doctorate and based on only biological things and medications. And culture is like seeing the mental illness is like a shame. So whoever have issues, they really hide and really shy on family on this and hiding their family members or something like that. So the divorce rate is very high even among Christian people. So now we have very good opportunity to teach counseling, very first Christian counseling. We have many psychologists and psychologists, you know, undergraduate and master degrees, so they're doing but they studying psychology, and counseling is only one session, one semester. So they really have a lot of knowledge, but really skill is really required. So now we we had a very good opportunity to start the CW training in Bible Training Center. So our students are already on the ministry field, who are seeing people, alcoholic people, homeless people, orphanages, prisoners, and women, teenagers, and working with marriages. They are already working with those people in many years. Some of them more than 10 years they were serving in this ministry on the field. And so few of them are wives of a pastor, and they're helping local church, and supporting their husband, and still doing ministry in the church, also in the society. So they are really doing hard work, but without any equipment. So first 2 units went very well, and they are really get back very good feedback, and they learned what is real, genuine connecting and understanding people. So they learned how to connect with themselves first, and then with the God, then with the people. And they understand that a God-centered transformation is the vital for Christian people, even especially for counselors. So they have quite good self-awareness, and they're really excited to learn more for future, and they really can't wait. We had the quarantine because of COVID here, but they can't wait. They keep asking, chasing the next training session. So, and you know, they have now really good knowledge about, without knowing themselves, without worrying about themselves, it wouldn't help others. Like in the Bible says, we need to see our, have to say, I can't speak in English, log in the, I cannot remove brothers, you know, those things from the eye. So they have very good understanding of this, and very happy to learn more. And recently we had also a good opportunity to cooperate with Mongolian Pastor and Church Leaders Association. And they interested our training, and they wanted to learn first about themselves, self-awareness, self-care, and understanding others' psychology. So we are preparing some program for them, and we're really glad to work with them. And the second thing is Mongolian Evangelist Committee also invited one of our members to be part of them, to be recognized. So we have lots of opportunity to reach many people and teach many people. There are many harvests, but we need workers. Yeah, So thank you for your attention. Any question, welcome. End of the meeting, right?
Yeah.
I had the privilege to meet some of Cha and Iggy's students on Monday night. It was just remarkable how they're pouring their lives out for the people around them. Yeah, and Cha taught on attachment this week, helping people understand the very beginnings and the heart. And they just didn't want to go home, from what I heard.
Yes,
right.
We finished our teaching at 9 p.m. And, you know, I felt so exhausted and I want to finish, but they keep asking questions and raising questions. So when is the next meeting? You know, we're doing T group called Transformation Group. So when is the T group, you know? So it really shows that they really need to know more and really need to understand themselves and others to help. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cheta. Alvin, would you like to share a little bit about the situation in Bangladesh there?
Thank you. I want to greet you all in the name of Jesus from Bangladesh, you know. And this is our privilege to share about our ministry and our people and country. Actually, many of you may know the culture of our country, you know, and about 90% people are Muslim, and Christians are very few, maybe little more than 500,000 Christians. And most of the Christians, they are just nominal Christian and Catholic, Roman Catholic, and they do not have experience, you know, receiving Jesus as their Lord and Savior. So there you will find most of the Christian families, you know, just as the 2 Corinthians says, Paul says, it's an unequal yoke. Huh? So many marriages are like this, you know. Maybe husband is believer and wife is not. Wife is believer but husband not. So the problem arises, you know, in their families. Also, Bangladesh is a male-dominated country, society, and this is we'll say that is attached to their religion, you know, culture. People made it, you know, for their maybe own interest. And husband, he's the head of the family and of his wife. But always domination is going on now. And so wives are always, you know, persecuted or tortured by the husband. And this is our culture. Also, there are many early marriage, like 12 years old girl, even 10 years old girl, and parents fix their marriage. So this is very unusual, maybe to you. And this is a reality in Bangladesh. And in Christian, our churches, we see many, you know, marriages are broken now. We never seen before. And we do not, we cannot help all these families because there are no, you know, Christian counselor who can help. Some pastors, they maybe they were taught theologically how to do counseling, but problem is that people do not come to them, go to them. Why? Because this pastor cannot be trusted and he is not trustworthy person. So people do not like to share about their problem to the pastor. So we found that this is a real need in Bangladesh. And as our sister Tasha mentioned, all the problems, including natural disaster and alcoholism and suicidal case and drug addiction and corruption, all these things are in our country. But very few people are there to help, uh, to set this wrong in right, wrong to the right. There is none, I will say none. Even in Christian community, uh, my wife and I, we started counseling. And as we started, suddenly we got an invitation to attend a Christian counseling conference in Chiang Mai. And one of our friends may recommended our name to attend there. And there we, first time we knew about CWF or Living Wholeness training. And we found this is very, good and effective training program, counseling training program for the, lay counselor and even for the pastors. And especially we found the steps and circles and triangles and, square and, finally, cross is the answer. So this is really, a solution for a person who are in problem. Maybe he or she is in self-centered zone, or the lower part of God-centered zone. So yeah, there is a possibility to flourish, but nobody can help them. So in Bangladesh, really, this training is very much needed. And Brother David, Susan, they came to Bangladesh 2 years back, and they are conducted the training for 25, and most of the participants are lay people, and there maybe NGO staff, development workers, and hospital staff, nurse, doctor, even. So all these people, they attended. And we found that people, are very much interested to have this uh, counseling training, because this is, I will say that based on Word of God, and it takes them to a solution where he or she will find the cross or Jesus in their lives, who can really help them. So we are just two people, and now through Zoom online, last year, the team, Living Wholeness team, under the leadership of Brother David. Yeah. 2018. Yeah, 2018, we arranged a training conference, and 140 people participated, and I think five trainers, like under the leadership of Brother David, they came to Bangladesh and conducted the training program for them. And so people there, many of them, they knew about this training program, and they are very much interested. And still, 2 groups have finished, I think finished the 6-month training program, and they got certificate, and still 2 groups are, continuing. So this way, training is going on, but still there is a huge need for others, who are really willing to have this training and who can help people who are in need, who are in problem, maybe in their own lives, in their families. So Bangladesh, we really feel that this training is very much needed in our country, and we'll ask for your prayer, especially for our country, that many lay people and some pastors, they can be equipped to take this training as a movement in Bangladesh. And sometimes we cannot tell directly about Jesus. So when a non-Christian family is in problem, then we can help them in counseling, and that time we can tell about Jesus. So this is another opportunity for us to tell Jesus to the non-Christian people. So this way we have a vision to see this training program as a movement in our country, that many people can be equipped to do the ministry of counseling.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you. Lovely summary. I had the amazing privilege when I was there in earlier last year. I think there's kind of a group, isn't there, of denominational leaders. There's about 14 leaders of denominations in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I think about 24 started, but later. And
we had a lovely time just sharing about what Christian counselling could offer. And basically the consensus was, yes, we need this in our country. Because the church there is only like, I don't know how old is the church there, the Christian church, maybe a couple of decades old, right? And so, yeah, I think the church has been very good at evangelism, but is learning that it needs to grow in the area of Christian counselling as well. I just want to show a brief video. It's just a 3-minute video of a few more people that are in our team. So that the training that the lay counselling training we're going to run is in Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Mongolia, Cambodia, and Pakistan, that's right. So I think there's one person from each of those countries represented in this brief video. So just have a look at that, and then I've just got a few more.
They've all had some of our training already to equip them to train others.
Yeah. So these are people we've worked with for maybe 3 to 5 years. Okay, so can you see this? See and hear? Can you see and hear that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
My name is David Nichols. I'm the CEO of Living Wholeness. And one of our hopes for this year is to be able to put some people trained well on the ground, helping people in the developing countries of Asia. These nations and others in the region face significant amounts of difficulties.
One area that they've been particularly lacking in is counselling, trained counsellors. But what we've discovered is that there's a huge sense of keenness, of need, of readiness to have some kind of training.
I work as a Christian counselor. Life is very hard because of earthquake, landslide, and this pandemic. And many people went through depression, and the suicide rates are so high. We are using Christian counseling to plant churches, strengthen leaders. We really need your continuous prayer support to help.
We are counseling people struggling with their pain, trauma, uncertainty, and in our culture generally, emotional and psychological issues are hidden behind. It is acceptable to seek help from physical disorder, but psychological aid is a taboo. I think having a Living Wholeness lay counselors training is very important. We really do need a qualified lay counselors to be able to deal with the trauma and the things that's happening in Cambodia. I think that Living Wholeness is both integrative as well as comprehensive. It really deals with every sector of a person to help the person's social and environment aspect of it. I think that Living Wholeness is just wonderful framework.
Lay counseling
is such a new idea in this country. I mean, counseling itself is a new idea in this country. So if we able to train lay counselors in the church, it would give us great benefit in the church as well as outside.
This course has transformed their lives. We have seen some tremendous inroads into Indian churches. This has been a great blessing for us as well as for the community around us.
People were coming in with broken marriages, broken families, suicidal issues, mental health issues, and the resources were very scarce to deal with those. And as we've been training people, they really have seen lives transformed. I'm so grateful for this program because it's going to allow more people to be trained, to be able to bring healing and reach out to communities all around Asia where the mental health issues are so complex and so large, especially now. And so thank you for being part of this program that is going to change hearts and lives, bring them into relationship with God, and bring healing and transformation.
Okay. Well, I just probably wanted to just share a few thoughts. One is that, you know, these things, back to the bigger picture in a sense, yeah, it was great. Hey, you know, like the UN and WHO are both very, very motivated and encouraging, you know, the world. And in fact, the whole world, every nation in the world signed this document in, I think, 2017 that talks about eliminating 17 major causes of inequality in the world. And certainly mental health is up there in those one of those 17 key things. But the thing is that how do you do that? You know, cost, money, all these things. And so the UN especially recognizes that it's faith communities where there are people who are motivated to help their fellow, you know, brothers and sisters. And so the church, the Christian church, is a significant player in that. So at this bigger level, that's a recognized resource in a way. And at the same time, it's actually the local church or denominations or groups of churches that are inviting people to come in and train their people in the whole area of lay counselling. So in a sense, that's actually what's happening, and it's really cool. What our strategy has been is to train people like Cha-Cha, like Robert, who's just popped in here, Iggy, on the video, people on the video, different people, we train them, and then they go back to their countries and train, you know, locally in the local language, you know, with all the adjustments to the culture and so forth. So it's actually quite a compact course that we can offer. And I think sometimes people wonder, well, how come these people actually even get involved? And I think a large factor that keeps it going and growing is we have a strong sense of community. We back our trainers up, we support them, we facilitate their ongoing growth and development, as well as, so they're kind of giving out while they're receiving. It seems to be a good model. We also found early on, I felt that that God was saying, do this all 2 by 2, you know? So take people in pairs, not just as a one person from Mongolia, one person from Nepal, but bring them in 2 by 2. And I think that's been helpful because Cha-Cha and Iggy, certainly in Mongolia, right? They're a dynamic duo there up there doing this kind of stuff. You know, God is really using their ministry. So yeah, there's that multiple sending out kind of components to it all. I just want to briefly run through, I know our time's getting short, just what the actual project that we want to present. So the project that we're doing, in a sense, is really just to focus on these 6 countries, to train 25 lay counsellors in those countries, each one, over the next 12 months. But also the reason we need funding is to provide translation of the materials, that's student handbooks and texts that we've already got written, but we need them translated into the other languages, 6 other languages. Just Rennie, for your information, in India, we're doing this into Tamil. So because there's a lot of counselling training that happens in English, but there's a vision to do it into Tamil and then potentially into Hindi as well. In Pakistan, it's going into Urdu, and then in Mongolian, Cambodia into Khmer and so forth. So in Bangladesh, of course, in Bangladesh. So and Nepali. So yeah, there's the cost is, I guess, the main costs of this project are around translation and materials. We're doing a research component. So we're working with, there's a university called Queensland University of Technology, and one of their associate professors of research is on our board, and she's helping us actually research this whole thing so that we can get some solid data about how effective this is as a training regime, how effective it is for the people who are counselled and so forth. So that will hopefully inform our future planning as well. And then assuming this cycle goes well, we're beginning to think about a second 60 hours. So all up, there'd be 120 hours of counselling training, lay counselling training. And this kind of includes the area of pastoral counsellor training. So that's like four sort of university, or at least four seminary courses, you know, four seminary subjects worth. 120 hours is roughly 4 subjects at a seminary. So that's the kind of what we're offering. I think in Mongolia, you guys are offering 240 hours all up for your seminary course. We're also in parallel, so we're doing this lay counsellor training, but also in parallel in some of these countries, Nepal, Mongolia, Thailand as well, where we're doing this, but that's not part of this project, and potentially Pakistan and Bangladesh. We're also doing some masters in theology level pastoral counselling subjects. So that's hopefully offering this at a broader level. But this actual project we're doing right now that we're talking about is just this simple, solid, long-term investment in the whole area of lay counselling. So yeah, we kind of, I don't know how much time we have, Michael, for questions. But
let's take 5 minutes, David.
Yep. Okay. Sure. Yeah. So questions, please. Comments, questions, feedback would be much welcomed. Yes, Rosemary. Yes.
Thank you, David. Look, I'm just blown away by what you guys are doing, and thank you for sharing. Thank you to all those who have shared what's happening in your countries. This is the first time I've really had the opportunity to meet so many from different walks of life and to hear exactly the impact of this kind of training and counselling, which is of incredibly valuable need and just the basis of the transforming power of Christ in individuals and then families, societies, and so on. I guess my main question, just stepping back, is the fact that you know, there are groups like yours doing this amazing work. There's you know, Transform for Life doing very similar work. And it just strikes me that, you know, Christian groups sometimes work in silos, and you know, and maybe there is a greater call for a cooperative spirit amongst Christians, in the sense that together we're stronger. We can offer perhaps the infrastructure that might come with, say, a Bible college, the computer skills, the technology, the advertising, whatever it is. I'm just sort of talking off the cuff here, but just the possibilities of coming together with a common vision,
Yeah.
you know, and just seeing together how we can build God's kingdom through mental wholeness and mental well-being. So is there...
Yeah, I can just address that briefly.
Yeah.
We work closely with BST, Brisbane School of Theology. And quite a number of us here, at least of the Asians on this screen, are involved in a thing called the Asian Christian Counselling Association.
Yes.
And that actually encompasses and gives connection between us all in a really cool way. So there's about 9 nations involved in that officially, and there are about 4 or 5 who are beginning to form associations. The Pakistanis, I know, are meeting tonight.
Yes.
they use a platform to develop their National Christian Counselling Association, for example. So yeah, it's a great concept, and that's right. Yes,
Yes, right. Okay.
This is bigger than us, I guess I'm saying.
Yeah, yes.
And we know we're only a small part,
Yeah.
and we love to hear also about what others are doing, because we know
Yes,
there's no,
yes.
you know, we don't want to reinvent, and so
Yes,
it's
yes,
great
yes.
to coordinate, network.
Right, right.
For example, in Cambodia, CWR is active, and so we're connecting with them and saying how can what we're doing work together with what you've already done. And
yes,
yeah.
Other comments or questions?
I'm overwhelmed by the size of the challenge that you face, but I'm inspired by your dedication and your commitment and your passion.
Thank you.
May God bless you, and we're delighted to have an opportunity to again contribute in partnership with Living Wholeness. And how has COVID affected things, David?
Just in a nutshell, it's made it a way simpler. We're all talking here about doing stuff, more teaching on Zoom. Yeah, Zoom has become an accepted way to train. So we do training 3 or 4 nights a week into Asia. And I think Alvin was saying before, they're starting to do stuff on Zoom. Yeah, it hasn't been a major problem from that point of view. Yes, yeah.
So again, the more developed countries tend to have better internet, and so it can be a challenge. I know in Bangladesh and Nepal, at least. I don't know about Mongolia, Chow with the internet.
Yeah, I agree with that, and also they have an advantage. It made us more closer, easy to meet online, and all the conference webinar is happening often. We couldn't fly to Thailand or so often, but it has an advantage too. The disadvantage or challenges, we need some face-to-face practice
as
in
well.
the skill groups or subgroups. So we really need lack of that, but we're trying to do that on the online. But of course, physical face-to-face meetings really important.
I'll just say to I was talking about ACCA before, the Christian Counselling Association. So this year our conference is online, and we're hoping for 2,000 people, whereas previously we've had more in the hundreds. So much lower cost, no travel, greater access. So yeah.
So in Mongolia, we just established Mongolian Christian Counseling after Iggy and me finished the training in China. And we enrolled to Asian Christian Counseling, and we participated 3rd conference in Bali, right?
Yes.
So the 4th one coming is Singapore one, but
yes.
Our country people, it's easy to participate because it's online. So yeah, as the Rosemary asking, we really trying to connect with more networks too.
Yeah, great. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Well, I think our evening has come very quickly to an end. What a magnificent presentation we've had from David and colleagues. We thank everyone, and the wonders of the internet are truly astonishing, given we've got people from God's kingdom in multiple settings.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, Michael. It's great.
Thanks, David. Great working with you.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.